just to add, so we're getting this like weird face turn when it comes to the pandemic and what they view as conspiracy theories that they're going to ridicule on their show. And yet they're still peddling in this like really shitty stuff like this. So we've been talking a lot on stream about James Lindsay and critical race theory, and this has been probably the most explicit take where they're addressing critical race theory. Okay? The background of this story is that James O'Keefe got in touch with somebody who worked at Hasbro, and they came forward saying that Hasbro was giving seminars to their staff promoting critical race theory. So Andrew Chapados is going to sit down with the person and have a bit of a chit-chat. It's only about a 5-minute video, but let's see how it goes. Let's see to what extent we think it's critical race theory and to what extent this is Hasbro is engaging in something that's bad. Okay?
Welcome back to Rebel News. Critical race theory is a term and idea that seeks to categorize racial groups as the perpetually oppressed or oppressors, teaching students that they are subjected to these realities as a matter of fact as soon as they're born.
Is that what critical race theory is? I mean, there might be...
Bro, why are you asking that question? You know the answer to that question is no. Like, you know it's no. Like, come on. Well, I mean, that's not it.
There's subtleties in there that are like close enough, but it's definitely has that slant. Yeah, I mean, like the implication of a relationship between oppressed and oppressor and stuff like that, that's in there somewhere.
Yeah, but they just want to like riff on the Marx idea and why Marxism and communists are bad. That's all it is. That's why they're putting that in there. It's a dog whistle to their anti-commie friends.
Yeah.
Attempts to obfuscate these points are top of mind for...
What was that, sorry?
I said, Elron, can you type !Carl with a K?
What?
Oh wait, no, actually !Marx in chat.
Oh, because
I feel like I'm the only one using commands and I feel sad.
Because Marx was mentioned?
Oh, it's that Nightbot.
Yeah.
Good to know. Jesus. Our Nightbot is a Marxist.
For talk show hosts these days who insist that the definitions are just wrong.
Theory, right? What I don't think is right is that forcing 8-year-olds in Cupertino, California to deconstruct their racial identities and then rank themselves according to power and privilege.
I mean, that is not critical race theory, and that's not happening to 8-year-olds. This is Christopher Rufo, by the way. He worked for the Discovery Institute, which was prominent in trying to get intelligent design taught in schools and get schools to stop teaching evolution. They're a very far-right evangelical organization that doesn't believe in science, and now he's the prominent figure pushing the anti-CRT stuff with people like James Lindsay and Sovereign Nations that we've covered. But, right, critical race theory is, in fact, a legal theory and has nothing to do with teaching 8-year-olds about race. But even the way he framed these 8-year-olds being taught about race is not how they're being taught about race.
It's intersectionality theory, which was invented by Kimberly Crenshaw.
Intersectionality is a separate thing.
Intersectionality is a separate thing.
Theory. No, it's not, dear.
You had her on your show. You know this.
Yeah, she invented both things. She invented both things. What you've done in tonight's segment is exactly...
It's not critical race theory. It's just dividing people by race, they swear. Teaching...
Dividing people by... Like, it's amazing because they're like, talking about race, therefore you're dividing people by race. No, I don't think that's how it works, bud. Sometimes you have to talk about things.
Children to judge each other by race and convincing non-believers that racial inferiority is a belief naturally held by all is very dangerous, of course. And these semantics will undoubtedly play a part in this next story where toy giant Hasbro...
So I gotta pause there too, because again, that is not at all critical race theory is doing. Like, I love... Even just talking about intersectionality and race in class, not critical race theory, you know, telling people that there are these disparities in racial groups and prejudice exists, and maybe we should find ways to mitigate that prejudice by becoming aware of these disparities is completely different than what he's talking about.
That's uncomfortable. No, we can't. No, I'm sorry. Can we talk about it later?
Yeah.
Like, not now, but like in
Not
the
ever.
future sometime. Not right now, though.
And never talk to kids about it, because that...
And they're not ready. They're not ready. When they're like, listen, when they're like 6, they're definitely not ready. They're not fully formed. And then when they're 10, they need to like study. And then when they're 18, we don't want to ruin the best time of their life in college by talking about race. And then when they're 40 or 50, it's too late. They're too old. There's no time, really. Just leave it alone.
There was one of the videos I watched in choosing which videos we were going to cover today. They were talking about, I can't even remember the specifics. I feel like it had to do with transitioning. And they were talking about how can we allow children to make medical decisions for themselves, which isn't happening, when we don't develop our brains till we're like 25. Like our brains don't fully develop, which there's some quasi-truth to that, to a certain extent. I think a lot of our abstract reasoning is still undeveloped till around that age. But it's like, we allow people to vote that are younger than 25, drive when they're younger than 25. It's like...
We let people ride bikes when they're like 5.
Yeah.
We let people move at speeds that can cause serious brain injury. Yeah. We put babies in vehicles. Like, at what point do you just want to sort of let go of this argument that, like, development. Like, development as an argument, no, like, even as someone who, like, cares about neuroscience and psychology, is kind of a shit argument. Like, you can't just say, oh, like, the brain might develop differently. It's like, yeah, it might, but, like, what does that mean? What is that argument, really?
I do love it. You probably get, like, this annoys you too. The one thing that annoys me the most is whenever people say X causes your brain to change. And I was like, doing anything causes your brain to change.
Shit, sitting still causes your brain to change. My brain's changed, right? I've had half a beer. My brain has definitely changed. Let's go.
Yeah.
Solution, as always, to stop all risk and all whatever bullshit is to go full anti-civ anarchist and just have no technology. All safety,
There is, like, a weird incoherency, because, like, you're right, it seems like they're being super cautious. It's almost like we need to live in a fully protected bubble where everyone, like, is prevented from making these poor decisions because you're not an adult till you're 25, and so you can't make any medical decisions, and you can't decide to teach anyone about race. You gotta protect them. You gotta protect them from all of this, and yet they're the same people who go, look at you, snowflake, you victim culture person. And it's like, all right. I mean, like, pointing out the hypocrisy, okay, yeah, I know it's, like, useless. But, like, their whole thing is a fucking mess of contradictions, right?
I still need protection for, like, another year and a half.
Yeah.
Somebody come protect my brain, please.
No decision.
They make toys for Disney, Marvel, and Transformers. They've just been exposed for putting employees through mandatory training that states, as a matter of fact, that infants as early as aged 3 to 6 months are in fact guilty of racism.
Yes. Yes. That's right, Andrew. If that's your name, you look like an Andrew to me. Children as young as 6 months
3 to 6
are guilty. As young as 3 months are guilty of racism. That's when I see a white baby on the street, I just think, you fucking piece of shit, baby racist. You fucking denied me my home loan.
So he's gonna play the clip, and obviously, just right out the bat, they're not gonna say that 3 to 6 month olds are racist. But what do you think they're going to say such that this is his conclusion of their work?
Something about gays, like attention bias or some stupid shit.
See, my guess is that it's just going to be that, like, more, like, white dolls, like white baby dolls or something sell. or something along those lines. Like, it's going to be a reference to toys because it's fucking Hasbro.
So I haven't seen the full clip in context, but I think you're going to be right that like the reason why they would cover this is for toy purposes, especially like depending on what, I don't know what class of employees were given this like training or given this seminar, but if it was people who either like do the marketing or who manufacture the toys, then maybe this might be pertinent information.
Yeah.
The other part of it is, yes, you're exactly right, Elron. This does have to do with some kind of implicit bias thing that we'll get to it in a second. But yeah.
By 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race.
Fucking called it. To be fair, though, I think I heard something about this, like in the extended Twitter, internet, like discourse of like, it's ridiculous that people are saying babies are racist, and like this is just like gotta be like attention bias because they're fucking 3, right? They're fucking 3.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going out there, it's not like, they're looking at babies, putting them in these focus groups, and babies are out there saying the N-word or something like that. Like that's not happening. Like it's like
No.
they can just coo and fucking look at things. And there's already
Baby's first word.
No. No. No.
You know what is amazing though? Because these are the same people who utilize to prove that somehow sex and the binary is some sort of like biological thing. They're the ones who love referring to these studies where children tend to have certain like toy preferences, right? So the most famous is like, I think it's like the oldest one of these is where you place like a truck and a doll, and like little boy babies will go towards the trucks where little girl babies will go towards the dolls. And my response to them, because they would say that that proves that somehow it's biologically innate. And the easiest response to this is, no, they're getting some sort of like stimuli in the world that's already sort of biasing them to these options. It's not an innate capacity. It's just that socialization starts to happen right out of the womb. And here's the thing is, this is like more evidence for my response to that stuff, because there's no way that we would have some sort of inbuilt preferences and like racism of like skin color like this, or like this has to be socialized in children if these findings hold up, right? Like it's amazing to me that they're responding to this as if like they're saying children are racist, and in the other one they're like children are innately predisposed to be prejudiced in sexist ways.
Tim in chat.
My son's first word was haplogroup.
These are the original race scientists.
There was research that looked at how by 6 months, infants living in a homogeneous or same race neighborhood showed preferences for faces from their own racial groups, whereas infants living in more racially diverse environments did not show that same preference for their own racial group. And this is really important because we see that early exposure to different races is impacting these preferences before babies are even 1 year old. Children as young as 2 are already using race to reason about people's behaviors, and we may see this play out in daycare or on the playground in how kids are starting to choose or exclude playmates and friends.
The man who...
See, my guess is they're going to say that it's racism based on that like last point there, but all they're saying is that it doesn't have to come from like the kind of racism that they're talking about, like somebody who's like explicitly being like, I hate this racial group, right? It has more to just do with like innate preferential bias. Like, I don't think that if you were to ask these kids that they would even know what they're doing, you know? Unless they are growing up in explicitly racist families with explicitly racist parents, you know? But you can also notice as well, like, again, this seems to be, as you were pointing out, Vienno, could be useful for a toy marketing company or for people who develop children's toys.
Who exposed these videos is David Johnson.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't really have anything. It's just like, I don't know. Whatever fucking takeaway that they're gonna have from it is just gonna fucking suck. Because it's literally like, oh wow, let's study the development of social behaviors in children. And then they're gonna be like, oh, critical race theory. And like,
that's the other
what does this got to do with the law?
No, that's the other thing I love about this. Absolutely nothing about this had to do with critical race theory. Absolutely nothing. Not even a little bit. It had to do with childhood development. Like, this is being studied in psychology departments, not critical race theory departments. How dare they say my baby is racist? Listen, my baby, probably racist. I can tell. The way she looks at Simone, with prejudice.
Johnson, a packaging engineer who's contracted by Hasbro. He joins us now. Thanks for coming on, David. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Look at this person's hat, by the way. Just take in that hat in all of its full patriotic power.
It looks like a normal hat to me.
What?
What?
Whatever,
so
American.
For having me.
David,
That's a normal hat. It's got a gold ribbon on it.
Yeah, that's right. That's good.
God bless these United States.
'Cause I'm proud to be an American.
what was your immediate reaction when you were exposed to these training videos? We're saying children under the age of 1 have racial biases. How did you react to seeing that?
I was pretty blown away. I wasn't unfamiliar with critical race theory or intersectionality for I've known about their ideology for a few years now, but
So, you want to talk about bias? This person is someone who I'm guessing is in a bunch of groups, probably a conservative, judging by his hat there, and has been propagandized with this stuff, such that when they decided to hold this talk at Hasbro, where he worked, or still does, kind of, he was then, whoa, this is the thing that, like, the dude on Fox News was telling me. And then, like, recorded it and released it with Project Veritas.
just to have it so in my face at my place of work was just a huge slap in the face or splash of cold water. As soon as I saw the video, I'm like, I have to let people know about this so that they can understand what's being pushed onto their children.
Was there any discussion?
Pushed on their children. This was being taught to him at Hasbro.
They're teaching the 3-month-olds about their innate preferences. Can you imagine?
God,
I go to like a nursery or some shit and be like, you need to stop fucking looking at all these white toys. Fucking diversify your toy collection, damn it.
I don't even think I could do that to my 3-year-old.
Turning off the Wiggles.
Excuse me, dear, but like,
Turning off what?
the Wiggles are. I mean,
Teletubbies.
For one, it's Australian, so that automatically makes it racist. And then, and then it's an all-white cast. All the Wiggles are white, so
No,
I'm pretty sure.
Jeff wasn't white, was he? There's no way Jeff.
Well, unless there's
Wiggles.
a new Wiggles. I only remember there being
the
4
Wiggles.
white Wiggles.
The Wiggles are like Doctor Who. They go through like this metamorphosis every 4 or 5 years, and they're all completely different.
They're
The original-
purposefully diversifying the Wiggles.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I'm tired of this
Yeah.
woke culture infiltrating the Wiggles.
Oh, there's a woman in the Wiggles now, so you know, fucking.
Yeah, she.
No,
Watch
the
out.
original
She,
Purple Wiggles guy is Chinese, so
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's racist.
See, the current purple
I
Wiggle
looked it up.
guy. The current purple Wiggle guy was married to the woman Wiggle, But they got divorced, and yet they still work together in the show. So that's progressive.
Wiggles is fucking dramatic as fuck. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, can we become a Wiggles channel now?
I want
Can we watch some
that
Wiggles
show.
after
Welcome
this?
to the Wiggle House. To the
Fuck
Wiggle.
Breaking Bad. I want to hear Wiggles drama. I want the fucking behind the scenes. Fuck A Marriage Story. Fuck Scarlett Johansson. Show me this shit.
Oh my god. I don't even know why I know this lore, but I do know this. I think part of it is I'm like, who are these people? I remember like glancing through a Wikipedia while my kids were watching this thing.
The real woke thing to do is like get those speakers that can play on like pregnant people's stomachs, and you plug that into like an audiobook with some CRT.
Kimberly Crenshaw just blasting that into
Yeah.
the room. Oh,
Michelle Alexander, new
Bell
Jim
hooks.
Crow, just like
yeah, hell yeah. I'm surprised Tim hasn't joined in the chat about the Wiggles, or maybe that's too traumatic.
well, now we're remembering that there's more than one good Australian, so maybe he's worried about being cancelled.
Yeah.
What is this? Are you guys kidding
Oh
me?
no, not this again.
Oh.
Who's
They're just
now-
like I don't even know who the person they're saying is, like.
What is this? Are you guys kidding me?
I might
Okay.
have to block the alerts.
Can we look up who Reginald Dyer is?
Yes, let's see the racist they're trying to
Yeah, because last time they were doing Cecil Rhodes, and it's like, okay, yeah, fuck off, apartheid dickhead.
looks
but
like another so this is currently-
Reginald
people
Dyer
up.
is now a block term. No matter that.
was an
Thank you.
officer of the Bengal Army and later
Thank
the
you.
newly constituted Indian Army. His military he ruled over British India. That's what it looks like.
Well, now you ruined it. You guys can't talk about Reginald Dyer now. There you go. You can't come to the channel and do that. There you go. And you're
Are we
out.
getting a bunch of bot followers again as well?
I mean, it's good news
Oh, it doesn't
that
look like it this time.
well, no, I blocked the alerts. We do know that Dyer suffered a series of stroke before he died of cerebral hemorrhages. So good, fuck him.
Ha ha.
The best kind of racist is a dead racist.
Discussion amongst fellow employees who also had to watch this stuff. Did you guys talk about it at all?
No. At the end of the presentation, there's like a small Q&A, but you just get people saying, "Oh, thanks for bringing this to my attention," or some small applause, but that was really it.
So what do you think the goal is here?
I do love that. The response to it was just like, okay, thank you for the presentation. And then he's like, that was it. But it was so devastating. He was shocked. He went away being like, they're trying to indoctrinate me. I have to get the word out.
Here from Hasbro in showing this to their employees? Why is this mandatory or required information for employees?
I'm not entirely sure what the end goal is. I know.
Then why
Hasbro
didn't you
has
listen to the
the
meeting?
Conscious Kid before, the company responsible for this presentation. I'm not sure if they're
We are an education, research, and policy organization dedicated to equity and promoting healthy racial identity development in youth. We support organizations, families, and educators in taking action to disrupt racism in kids. They promote anti-racist children books. Okay. Why not? Why is this a bad thing?
pushing critical race theory now just because it's become so mainstream and they're trying to just kind of go along with the bandwagon. But the end goal of critical race theory itself is to divide people. There's no doubt about that.
For sure. And the video I showed off the top, why do you think there are all these attempts to obfuscate?
doubt.
Now, Joy Reid does this all the time. She brought on the person who coined the term critical race theory. We know what it actually means. Do you think there needs to be strict adherence to definitions on what critical race theory is? Or does the colloquial term of it, has it become its own thing and we're just, you know, muddying the waters at this point?
This is like a funny question to ask because Christopher Rufo himself was explicit that, like, let me see if I can find the quote. Because he was pretty explicit that he was doing it as a propagandic tool, such that you can make it synonymous. So this is what he said here. I found it. He goes, "We have successfully frozen their brand, critical race theory, into the public conversation, and are steadily driving up negative perceptions. We will eventually turn it toxic as we put all of the various cultural insanities under that brand category. The goal is to have the public read something crazy in the newspaper and immediately think critical race theory. We have decodified the term and will recodify it to annex the entire range of cultural constructions that are unpopular with Americans." So this was Christopher Rufo, the same guy that they mentioned before, who's combating this critical race theory stuff. And they're very explicit that they purposefully designed it such that, like, it becomes this amorphous term that they can use as a propaganda tool, basically. So when then they're being like, well, they want to say that the real critical theory, race theory, is what Kimberly Crenshaw was doing, and they had to bring Kimberly Crenshaw onto the show to explain what it is. But they're just trying to obfuscate things. We all know that the real critical race theory is just anybody, anywhere talking about race. Amazing.
I think most people understand what is meant when people say critical race theory. What they're doing is pushing critical race theory in practice, so which is how they get away with the like linguistic manipulations by saying like, oh, we're not teaching kids directly because they're not reading the direct literature of like how to be an anti-racist, for example, but they're pushing the ideals and practices of critical race theory through subversive means.
What is that even? So he's saying that whenever you talk about race in schools, even though it's not critical race theory, they're teaching like the essence or like in principle what critical race theory is. But they're doing it in like as subterfuge to like hide that they're doing it to indoctrinate children, merely by mentioning race in classrooms. No one knows what critical race theory means. No one knows.
Now, you had your access suspended, I believe I saw, from the company that's contracted by Hasbro. Has there been any movement on this? Do you know what's going to happen next? What's next for you?
I have no idea what's going to happen next. I have been suspended, yes. I haven't had any personal updates from Hasbro specifically since then. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to let me go or fire me. But
probably,
like I've said before, if this is the price for exposing this, then that's fine with me. I think it's a worthy cause.
It is a worthy cause. I agree with you wholeheartedly, David. Thanks for coming on. Let people know where they can support you and they can see the rest of the updates on.
We don't need to listen to that. But here's the thing: is this Hasbro one, this leak of Project Veritas, I don't think has been that popular. So this guy's like, I did it. I did my service, got the news out there, spread the word, told the world that Hasbro has been taken over by critical race theory, and he's gonna lose his job. And he feels like he did his service, probably because he thinks he can grift and do some shit here. That's my guess. But he's probably gonna lose his job. I will say, I think I acknowledged at the beginning that I wasn't sure what sort of like department was getting these lectures, because I assumed this wasn't people, say, on the assembly line or working in the manufacturing process for the toys. And as it says down here, he's a packaging engineer at Hasbro. So he's clearly someone on the front of the design portion of the like packaging that goes out, that the marketing aspects of the toy products. Someone who might benefit from knowing, like, maybe don't design your packages such that they're explicitly racist or even implicitly racist or like whatever. And maybe that's a good thing to know.
Okay. So back to the important topic, the Wiggles and how they became popular. According to the Wikipedia page, it was because of 9/11.
What?
What?
Let me just read this sentence. The Wiggles' popularity in the U.S. increased, quote, in the shell-shocked weeks after the terrorist attacks on New York City in 2001, end quote, when the group performed there, even when other acts canceled their tours, a decision that earned them loyalty and respect. What? Yeah, like it was immediately after that that they like started to explode in popularity in North America. Like,
Jesus.
So, you know what this means?
Don't do it.
The Wiggles did 9/11.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.